Hey guys, Marsningen here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. And so the Super Saiyan 3 GOTENKS EZA is going to be dropping on Global tonight if you're in America, or tomorrow if you're in the EU or even certain parts of America, I guess. But yeah, physical Super Saiyan 3 GOTENKS EZA has arrived. I did do a team building guide for this when it came out on JP, but obviously that was quite a long time ago now. I don't know if people will be able to find it buried in the YouTube algorithm. Plus there are a couple of slight differences thanks to units having gotten awakenings, as well as a couple of things that I didn't mention, because you guys know when I do these team building guides I always say at the beginning, if there's a unit that you think I missed or something that we didn't really talk about, let me know down below in the comments, and that allowed me to add some of those things that you guys mentioned into this version of the video for the global team build. So it is of course a typical 30 stage EZA against a single opponent. So standard, you can't stun past stage 5, you can't attack lower past stage 15, and you can't seal past stage 20. Stage 20 you get the damage reduction against AGL, Int, Physical and Extreme. So basically you only want to be using Super Tech and Super STR on this event. So as always, typical 30 stage EZA, you get all the rewards for you get the medals, you get a bunch of physical orbs, you get 11 physical Kais, and then you get 30 stones, one from doing each of the 30 stages. And then as long as you've completed these, which to be honest are fairly easy, from stage 20, as long as you've got a good team, which you will have if you follow this guide, you'll easily beat stage 20 within 2.5 minutes. And then one of them is to have literally just bought one youth category unit, which of course you should be bringing a full youth team, because yes, youth is the bonus category, and like we said, you want to be focusing on Super STR and Super Tech. Now the thing that probably stands out to you immediately about that is of course the two actual Dokkan Fest leaders for youth, the ones that actually have a decent leader skill percentage, are both Int, which means not only do they get the 80% damage reduction in the later stages, but they also have type disadvantage against GOTENKS, which is kind of awkward, especially when it comes to units taking a super attack, what with you not being able to heal during an EZA. But there are some very useful alternatives depending on what units you have available and how you want to build the team. So as always, we're going to jump in, going to look at my top picks and my honourable mentions, and just like I said at the start, any units you think I missed out or things we should have talked about in more detail, let me know down below in the comments section. So smash the like button if you find the guide helpful, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and let us jump straight into the first unit. So obviously we're going to talk about the Int GOTENKS first of all. He is currently here on a banner because he is on the Goten and Trunks banner. He's a really good unit. I did end up rainbowing him from the Trunks and Goten banner, because those of you who've been following my struggles, especially if you follow me on Twitter, which you should do over at the Marsningen, you know it took me a ton of stones to actually finally pull Goten and Trunks. And so along the way I did rainbow my GOTENKS, and he is very good. Turn 1 is the only turn where he's not like great, but he's still good because he greatly raises defense on super. Other than that, he's nothing too exciting. But when you get to turn 3 and he becomes a Super Saiyan, he does have the ability to additional super from his passive, and he's still raising defense by 50% on each super. So if you have dupes or additional skill orbs into him, he can super attack 3 times in one turn, which even in the EZA, I would say even on stage 30, against the fact that we're fighting a physical enemy, if he triple super attacks in that turn, anything outside of a super attack is just not going to hurt him at all, which is really good. So he definitely is the better leader out of the two in category leaders for youth. Chances are you're probably never going to see him become Super Saiyan 3, because that requires turn 7, and I honestly think with some of the units that you can bring along for this EZA, you're definitely not going to be getting to 7 turns even past stage 30, what with the power that some of the units are packing. But if you do happen to somehow get to turn 7, maybe you want to grind this one for Zenny and you get to like stage 50, 60, something like that, you might see him get the ability to go Super Saiyan 3, because it is of course an active skill. If you do that, it's then going to be pretty much GG, as long as he's actually getting crits, because once he transforms for 4 turns, you have a 70% chance to do an additional super attack. He greatly raises attack and defense on that super, so again, with dupes or orbs, he can super attack 3 times in one turn, and he'll just do an insane amount of damage. So yeah. Next up, of course, we have the Goku, who's the other youth category leader. I wouldn't recommend using him. I often talk about this guy for Easy A's when he is on the specialist category, because he has that ability where once you drop below 59% HP, you get guaranteed crits on that turn, and you can use his active skill, which of course deals damage and will get a guaranteed crit because it ties into the same part of the passive. So that does help in this event, because obviously he has type disadvantage. So the turn where you're getting guaranteed crits and can use the active skill for a little bit of extra damage is going to be very useful, because it always sucks when you use damage dealing active skills in harder events when you have type disadvantage and you don't crit, because obviously you just don't do very much damage. But his leader skill is slightly lower than GOTENKS is. I wouldn't recommend bringing him on this one unless he's the only character that you have to use. But I do think there's actually a better strategy than using the youth. Well, obviously you've got to use youth units, but using the youth team. So I wanted to mention this Goten very quickly, because he's the free-to-play youth leader, 50% to stats. Not a great choice unless he is your last option. It is good to have a Goten on the team as well, because one of the units that we will talk about is the Tech Trunks, and he requires a Goten to be around to get his full potential. So maybe he's worth including on the team depending on how you build it, but there is a better STR Goten who has been, whilst technically not free to play, they've given out a bunch of free tickets a bunch of times for you to get copies of him. So this guy is, I would say, absolutely a last resort for use as a leader. What you can do, which is a very powerful option, is we have here the Tech Gohan, and then there's the STR one. I guess we'll talk about them both together. The STR one is, of course, way worse. The fact that he only has a chance to have damage reduction is really, really annoying, but at least in this event, I guess he does have type advantage. And then Tech Gohan, you know, the memes, the absolute Chad, like, super good unit. Hybrid Saiyans. Both of them have the Hybrid Saiyans leader skill. They're STR or Tech, which are the beneficial typings. And if we look at youth, I mean, apart from the Kid Gokus, like, basically every single unit on the youth category is a Hybrid Saiyan. Pretty much. I mean, you've got, like, random Kid Chi-Chis and stuff, but spoiler alert, they're not going to be in this... they weren't going to be in this team building guide anyway. So, Hybrid Saiyans is definitely a viable option. And whilst the two whilst the two Gohans themselves aren't going to be doing crazy amounts of damage because they're not in the youth category, they're both decent tanks as long as the STR one gets his damage reduction. And of course the Tech one, we all know what he can do. So after a few turns, he's just not going to be taking damage. So even if he's not dealing a lot of damage, he's way less of a liability than bringing an int unit on the team. So that is a very viable way that you can do this if you don't have the Gotenks or the Goku and you don't want to run like the 50% Goten. So making a Hybrid Saiyans team is going to be very useful. I think almost every single unit we talk about from here on out is a Hybrid Saiyan, so it works perfectly to use a Hybrid Saiyan team. So we have the LR Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. If you have this guy definitely is going to be like the main damage dealer on your team for this EZA. He is very, very powerful, even without the ability to get his full kit activated, because to activate his full passive and to get the chance to use his active skill, you do have to have a Movie Heroes Goku on the team. But I've talked about this guy in other team building guides and stuff before. I use him on the Super Saiyan 2 team without a Movie Heroes Goku, and I still think he's really, really good. So he definitely can be good in this event. He is a nuking style unit, so you got to pick up as many orbs as possible, but he does have the passive that gives him extra ki per orb, so it's quite easy to get a decent amount of orbs with him. And if you bring any like orb changes or anything like that, you're obviously going to be finding it super easy to get his 18 key super. He has a chance to additional super built into his passive, and with every super attack he does raise his defense. So even though he is a tech unit and therefore doesn't have type advantage, he's able to get very, very good defense. So this guy is absolutely going to be one of the hardest hitters on the team if you choose to bring him. So then we have B-Pan. Now B-Pan is, for most people I would assume, as long as you've been doing the event, and I hope you have, is partially Extreme Z Awakened. So the way it works for the EZA at the moment, I know I've gotten the question mark once and not gotten it twice, so I feel like most people are probably in the same boat. I think the only way you can have her EZA right now fully is if you got the question mark every single time. So with the EZA, the last thing that updates is her passive. So her passive is what gives her the guaranteed damage reduction. She also has a high chance of getting extra ki twice, so she can get a ton of extra ki. So she doesn't have that, but she does have the super attack effect, which, as you can see here, post EZA, she greatly raises attack on super. So that's going to be good for you in this event, because her role, if you bring her on this team for this EZA, is of course to be a healer, because you can't use items. She heals you based on the damage that she does. So if you have her EZA'd up to step 2, you're going to have the greatly raises attack for 1 turn on her 18 ki super, which means that she'll deal more damage, and so of course means that she'll heal you back more HP. So she's definitely going to be very, very useful on this team, even if you haven't got her fully EZA'd yet. Because like I said, I think most people on Global, unless you've had insane luck, you're not able to have her fully EZA'd. But I mean, if you did, if you're one of those people out there that have got her fully EZA'd already, then you definitely want to be bringing her on the team. So then we have this STR Pan. She's not great, but she stacks defense for 6 turns. Her defense can actually be pretty good, and one of the reasons that she works well on some of these teams is the fact that she links up insanely well with B-Pan, so using the 2 of them as a rotation will be incredibly powerful. She does also have a built-in chance to dodge. It only starts off as 15%, but it goes up to 60, so a little bit of extra defensive capability on top of the stacking. So she's a very solid unit to bring if you're bringing B-Pan. If you're not bringing B-Pan, I don't know if she's necessarily higher on the list of units that I would bring, but she can still be very solid. Then we have the STR Super Saiyan Goten. This is the one I was talking about. He's been readily available with those Book of War things for ages. Maybe if you're a newer player, with the last Book of War they gave out, you could get the AGL Goten, who post EZA is definitely better than this guy. But for this event, this guy's going to be fantastic. He changes physical orbs to rainbow, so that's going to help out everybody on the rotation with connecting up orbs and getting their super attacks, especially if you're bringing LRs like the Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. You want to get as much ki with him as possible. And he's a pretty solid unit. He's got type advantage for this event. He raises defense, stacks for 3 turns, so he can be pretty good. He was a very early EZA, and around the time he got his EZA, he was a great unit that was, you know, a recommended unit to use on a lot of teams. So he's aged a little bit now, but for this event, definitely very, very good. So then we have this Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. Now obviously for us on Global we don't have the same name update, so you can't use this guy and the Tech LR. But this guy's pretty decent, like post EZA. Defensively he's not the best, but he's going to kind of fill the same role as the Tech LR if you don't have him, where he's going to be like one of the bigger damage dealers on your team. So again, he requires a Goku to have his full effectiveness, but he's going to be very solid on this team as a decent hitter. So if you don't have the Tech Gohan, you could definitely bring this guy. Next up we have the Great Saiyaman 4. He's a free-to-play unit. He's pretty good. He infinitely stacks attack and defense. Now obviously EZAs don't go on super long, so you're not going to get him up to crazy levels with his stacking, but he does provide super class allies 2 ki and 30% defense, and youth allies 30% attack. So most of the team, unless you are running the Hybrid Saiyans lead, you're going to be getting that. And even if you are running the Hybrid Saiyans leader, you obviously can't technically bring this guy on the team because he isn't a Hybrid Saiyan, but he is still a support unit. So I mean, I guess to a certain degree you could choose to bring him along. Unfortunately, I was just double checking here, he's not on Saviors either, so unfortunately he doesn't fit under Tech Gohan's leader skill. So probably best not to bring this guy if you're running the Hybrid Saiyans build, but you could technically still bring him along as a support unit and just kind of hide him from attacks. But if you are running the full youth build, he's definitely worth bringing, even if you're just bringing him as a support unit. So then we have the Gohan and Icarus. This unit gets talked about a lot simply for the fact that they come with a free heal. Because stunning you're not going to be able to do. They do have a chance to dodge, which is different depending on which slot you put them in. Remember, of course, if you put them in the first slot, they only count as the first attacker once they attack. So any attacks that are coming his way before he attacks, he doesn't have this 50% chance to dodge. But he can be pretty good as long as he gets his dodges in, otherwise his defense is pretty bad. And of course, as a tech unit, he doesn't have type advantage, so if he's one of the units that takes a super, he is going to take a lot of damage. But his only role really is to bring him along as the free healing item. So you don't necessarily have to bring him, but he can be useful, especially if you're finding the later stages a little bit difficult. If you're finding that you are getting Gotenks' health down pretty quickly, but he's just taking you out way too fast, then this guy could be good to bring just to top that health back up and then allow you to finish him off. So Then we have Bulla. Bulla is a support unit. She does give, is it 40%? Yeah, free key, 40% attack. She has a 30% chance to dodge built in. I don't think there's any other peppy gals on youth that we would consider bringing to bump that up to 60%. But 30% chance to dodge is pretty good. Her only problem is just like that Gohan and Icarus. If she does get hit, she will take quite a lot of damage because her defense isn't the best. And of course, if she takes a super, especially in the later stages, she's going to take a ton of damage. But if you want to bring a good attack support, 40% attack is definitely very good. You know, she's going to work very well. And of course, she is a hybrid Saiyan as well if you're going for that build. Then we have the Tech Trunks. We did mention him a little bit earlier on, so he can be very good. He has built-in damage reduction and then gets more damage reduction and attack when he super attacks if there is a Kid Goten or Krillin, but youth excluded, so basically it has to be Goten for this particular team build. They're of course both hybrid Saiyans, so they can work on either of the builds, and that can be a very strong rotation defensively. After he's super attacked, he's got like 70% damage reduction, so he's easily going to be tanking despite the fact he's only a tech unit. But yeah, I wanted to bring up the Hybrid Saiyans page at the end here. So obviously, if you're running the Gohan or the, well, they're both Gohan, of course, the Tech one or the STR one, you definitely wouldn't be running the Int one. I guess you could run the Trunks as a lead because he has Hybrid Saiyans 120. I wanted to bring this page up because if you don't have a lot of the youth units that we talked about, but you are running the Hybrid Saiyans build, one thing that you can do is drop in a couple of STR Hybrid Saiyan units who are going to be a little bit better for the team overall. So let's take, for example, this STR Trunks, and then where's High School Gohan? High School Gohan, right? Both of them are very good support units. I would argue in almost every example for a Hybrid Saiyans team, they are both way better than a unit like, say, Bulla. Now, the only advantage to bringing Bulla in this event is because she's on the youth category, it means she's going to do slightly more damage and take slightly less damage. But her defense kind of sucks. Whereas this Trunks and this High School Gohan, their defense is really, really good, and they have type advantage because they're STR. So even though they're not youth, I would definitely consider, if you're running the full Hybrid Saiyans build, you could just bring one of these guys along as a support unit instead of a unit like, say, Bulla, and they are actually going to be better defensively than her, even though they're not in the youth category. So there you go. Youth is a little bit of a wonky category, but I definitely think for a lot of people out there, especially if you haven't put a lot of investment into your youth units, Hybrid Saiyans is probably the way to go for this one. So let me know what you guys think down below. If you think I missed out anyone or any other strategies, like I said, let us know down below in the comments section. And yeah, I think that is going to be it. Hopefully this one should be pretty straightforward for most people. Let me know what your team build is going to be down below in the comments section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.